The rumor mill has been buzzing, understandably, for the Phillies within the past few weeks, with the trade deadline approaching and the Phillies' need of bullpen help. There's a bunch of areas that the Phillies could be looking to target, and especially bolstering their bullpen in several ways. I'm Chris here for Philly Sports Fire. Make sure you hit the subscribe button before we get into the video. Stay tuned for more Phillies content. Here I want to start out with just some trade proposals because it's very interesting, the wide range of proposals and what these players might be worth, the players that the Phillies might be targeting. Fightin' Phils gave a post talking about a quote from Matt Gelb. He said, according to Matt Gelb, in a recent article on the New York Times, the Phillies have interest in both Emmanuel Clase and Jhoan Duran. They are willing to move big pieces for pitchers that are under control. The Phillies, for now, sound more willing to trade bigger chips for controllable big leaguers, especially a shutdown late-inning reliever. Andrew Painter is the only arm that's untouchable. As for Mick Abel, the Phillies are not willing to move him for a rental. Aiden Miller, Arun Escobar, and Eduardo Tait could see their names involved in trade talks at some point. Now, there's a few interesting parts here. First, I want to point out the two pitchers, Clase and Duran, are two of the best closers in the sport in the past couple of years. So, understandably, those would be big targets, and those teams, the Twins and the Guardians, would be trying to get the biggest bang for their buck if they were to move on to them, because while they are still out of the wild card spot for now, they're not too far out. So I can only see them really moving them on if they were to be indeed sellers at the deadline, and if they were to get a huge package in return. But there's really no incentive, I think, for them to be dying to move on from them. The players that were mentioned, I'll get to in a second. It says here, the Phillies, for now, sound more willing to trade bigger prospect chips. We have been hearing that a bit. Dave Dombrowski, as we know, has been a bit more reluctant in the past few years to trade those top prospects. He has given away some notable players, whether it's Bruce Brown, Logan O'Hoppe, some of those players, even Starlin Caba for Jesus Luzardo, but he's been holding back on giving away some of the very top prospects. So if you were to get a return, that would be a controllable reliever that's at the top of the game for several years. That makes a ton more sense. But in order to do that, you would, of course, have to give away bigger prospects. Now, that is what I think is the right decision for Dave Dombrowski to make, because he has been a little reluctant on doing that. He's been trading for the rental pieces, and while they're strong players, they're not necessarily on the same level and have the same, the same club control as some of these other players like Clase and Duran do. So that's something that's very notable for the Phillies to be looking at, because those would set them to be in contention for a few more years, to really be like, hey, we're serious. We know our window is closing, but we are targeting some top players. Now, it says Painter is untouchable. That makes perfect sense. Mick Abel, they're not willing to move him for a rental, it says here, which makes total sense as well. I mean, you have Abel could be, I think he's major league ready. He's pretty much proven that in the few starts that he had up here. So I don't see why, for a player that's so young and has all-star potential, that could be pitching in the big leagues right now, they would move him away for a rental piece, like an Aroldis Chapman, for example. Aiden Miller, Arun Escobar, Eduardo Tait, those are very interesting names, and I'll get to them in a little bit when I'm going through some of these trade proposals, and I think that makes perfect sense for other teams to be interested in them because they're really nice players, but also for the Phillies to consider listening to offers that would be including them. So right now, let's dive into some of these trade proposals. Garrett Kerman on Yahoo Sports made this first proposal. He said the Phillies get Emmanuel Clase, the Guardians receive Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford, and Eduardo Tait. Personally, to me, this seems like the trade proposal that the Guardians would be asking for. They would want some of those top players. Andrew Painter's number 1, Crawford's number 3, and Tait is number 4. That's a pretty big haul you're giving away, but it doesn't make sense on the Guardians' standpoint. I don't think Dave Dombrowski would budge and give that away, especially because Painter's untouchable. But even outside of that, number 3, number 4 prospect, I mean, he might be willing to. Clase was the best reliever in baseball last year, so it does make sense, but I just don't see that happening. This seems more to be a Guardians bias proposal. I don't know if that's what the intention was, but that's something that I could see the Guardians asking for and the Phillies trying to counteroffer. The second one is from Christopher Klein of fansided.com. This one is a little bit more different, but the interesting thing in this is that the Phillies are getting both Emmanuel Clase and Steven Kwan, but the package here is not very big at all. Here has Clase and Kwan going to the Phillies. The Guardians receive Mick Abel, the number 5 prospect, Arun Escobar, number 6, and Gabriel Rincones Jr., number 11. All those are nice prospects, but I see the Guardians shutting this down instantly. First they give a laugh, then they hang up the phone. I don't see in any world the Guardians thinking anything of that. Maybe they would give that away for one of them, possibly for Steven Kwan. I could see them maybe being interested in saying, hey, Steven Kwan is club controllable through 2027. He was just named an all-star for the second year in a row. We can maybe give you that package for just Kwan, but I don't see that realistically happening for both of them. I think this would be shut down. I could see this as maybe a starting point for Dave Dombrowski, his side. So lastly, I wanted to make a trade proposal of my own. If I were the Guardians, I would be asking for at least one prospect within the top 3, maybe 2. I might want I might want Miller and Crawford. But if I'm the Phillies, I'm willing to give them a massive haul. That does not include those top 3 prospects for the Phillies in Crawford, Miller, and Painter. So I have right here on SpotTrack.com, they do an amazing job with these trade proposals. The prospects are not updated. It's a little out of order, but here in this trade, I have the Phillies sending Mick Abel, who's their number 5 prospect, Eduardo Tait, number 4, Dante Nori, number 8, Gabriel Rincones Jr., number 11, Arun Escobar, number 6. The Phillies then acquire Steven Kwan and Emmanuel Clase. So the Phillies would be giving number 4, 5, 6, 8, and 11. That sounds pretty big to me, and I think those prospects are all intriguing in some ways. Just want to break them down a bit. First, we have Mick Abel. He is major league ready, as I said earlier. I mean, you're replacing Clase, an elite closer, for somebody who could be a star pitcher and has been highly touted the first few years when he was drafted. So I think that makes sense to be a centerpiece for your trade, for a trade proposal. Next, Eduardo Tait. He's your number 4 prospect. He has loads of potential. I mean, he's tearing it apart in Single A. I see him getting a call up to Jersey Shore and High A at some point. Offensively, this guy can be an absolute beast. There's some concern about him staying at catcher. I don't know if that's going to happen, so he could possibly be moved. He's not extremely great defensively. But what this guy's been able to do at 18 years old has been absolutely insane. Arun Escobar, he is their number 6 prospect, and he's been really raking it down in Single A as well. He was called up to High A, Jersey Shore, so he's getting a little more opportunity there. So I think he's very intriguing, just about 20, 21 years old. So I see that as a big piece, especially if you're not getting Aiden Miller, then I would absolutely consider giving Arun Escobar, and I think teams should be interested in him. Now here, with the Guardians giving away Steven Kwan, he's an outfielder. I would think they could get the biggest bang for the buck could be getting 2 outfielders in return. One, because one of them, you want to see if one of them will work out, and I'm sure at least one of them will pan out. And 2, because that's his position. You just want to make sure that you get somebody who can fill in, and maybe he won't be necessarily as good, but that's why this is a package deal. Dante Nori was the first-round pick for the Phillies last year. He's been seeming to get in a groove recently in Single A, so I could see him getting a call-up possibly at some point. He started struggling at first, but I think he's starting to get the hang of it right now. And, of course, he was a first-round pick, so some interest there. Gabriel Rincones Jr. was doing incredible last season in Double-A, but then he got injured. He's been in Triple-A this year, and I think he's really close to the major leagues, having a bit of a down year, but I could see him making it up as soon as this season. So you have a bunch of players that I could see making the major leagues either this year or within the next few years or so. So I think that's a very intriguing package. If you're the Guardians, you're getting guys from like all over different positions: catcher, outfielders, pitcher, infielder. So I think that pretty much just fills out a lot of spots. Now for the Phillies side, you're getting Steven Kwan, controllable through 2027, Emmanuel Clase, controllable through 2028. That instantly locks in the Phillies having two guys that are controllable for a few years, which they tend to not do at the trade deadline. And so I think this is something they absolutely should go for. If you're able to get a package like this together and to somehow hold on to those top three prospects, again, I don't see the Guardians necessarily doing it, but if they were to see this as a huge package that they would take, honestly, I would throw it out there. We'll see if they're interested in it. That's all I got. Just wanted to throw those proposals out there. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. What do you think in the comments down below? Would you do this trade package for Steven Kwan and Emmanuel Clase to bring them to Philly? Do you think it'll require more? Do you think that the Guardians won't trade them at all? Want to hear your thoughts down below. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to stay tuned for more Phillies and Sixers content. And stay tuned for the next video. Peace out, Philly.